And we're back to talk about the next game in the collection, and this is a terrific machine. If you're not aware, this is a Bally Radical, which only about 1,300 of them were made. And man, this game, I first saw this game, I guess, on John's Arcade YouTube channel. He's got a terrific channel. If you've never seen it, go check it out. He's not really too much active on it nowadays, but he has a huge backlog of videos. And in one of the videos, he bought a Radical, and he had it shipped to his house, and he went through it. And man, I saw that video, and I'm thinking to myself, 1,300 of them made. That's a terrific machine, but it's one that I'll probably never own. I mean, only 1,300 of them. You know, where are you gonna run into a Radical for sale? Well, in June of 2020, I moved back to Germany, and I helped a buddy of mine buy his first pinball machine. And we went up about 3 hours north of where we live, and I helped him purchase a Bally Radical. And it was not this Bally Radical, it was another one. And we got the game, and it was a mess, and we had to work through a bunch of electrical issues, and we got it running for him, and he still has it, and he loves it. But man, ever since he bought that game, I'm like, gosh, I really want a Radical. And well, I'm never going to find one. And then guess what? About 6 months later, January of 2021, this one pops up on a German forum. And I went out to Berlin and bought this from a guy who had it in sort of a storage warehouse, you know. And it was a real mess. I mean, it was crap all over it. It hadn't been played in a long time. The playfield had a pretty decent amount of wear, not in some other games that I've had where there's a lot of ball wear. This game, the wear was basically environmental. From what I could tell, it had not been kept in a stable environment, and the playfield had started to kind of, alligator or weather check. I don't know what you call it, but basically the paint started to crack and separate in some places. There was some small areas of ball wear, but primarily the damage on the playfield was this cracking. So I did a total strip down of this thing. I got it pretty cheap. Compared to what the prices are on Pinside for Radicals today, I paid about half of what they're going for today, a little bit less actually. So I was pretty happy with the sale. It was a 7-hour drive one way to go out there, and my wife and I drove out and back in one day to pick this game up, and she probably thought I was nuts at the time, but this is a rare machine. And, so what did I do? Well, I had to obviously do a lot of playfield repair, stripped everything off, of course. And, as far as the weather checking goes, what I found was if you mix the color, I actually just would put the color on my finger and I would kind of rub it into the cracks, and then I would wipe off the remainder. And it would fill the crack with the paint, and then it's a lot better than trying to totally. I mean, I don't have the skills that some people would actually sit in an airbrush. I'm not, I don't have those skills. But what I did, I think, worked really well, and I was able to fill in the cracks in the yellow. I did have to repaint down around here. Let's see, what was it? Down around here in the bonus ladder. Oh, right around the 400. I think this was all missing. There was some missing areas up here in the blue, and then up here in the purple, up around the pop bumpers was completely missing and worn out. So it was quite a bit of touch-ups that I had to do. You cannot get a replacement playfield for this game yet, but I hear that CPR is maybe working on it. That's the word through the grapevine, that's what I've heard. But I had to replace all the insert decals because they were pretty worn off, and and then when I was done, I clear coated it, and I think it looks pretty good considering. These are all original ramps. I was super lucky. There's virtually no damage to the ramps, other than it looks like somebody at some point cut this hole square. I don't know why they did that. It used to be a round hole here, and they cut it out wider. But that doesn't really bother me. And Free Play 40 now does make the ramps for this game, so I could go and buy a complete new set. My buddy down the street, for his Radical, he actually did just buy all those ramps, so I'm going to look at them. But I don't think I need them. I mean, these ramps are in great shape, right? I have some ultraviolet LED strips here. This is kind of a poor man's stadium lighting I've got going on in this game. And, I don't do that in any of my other games, especially with a color that's not white. You know, I'm pretty religious about only using white LEDs in a GI, but in this game, with all the fluorescent colors on the playfield, I think it really works. And it also makes the ramps kind of pop, you know. That's, you know, if I turn the black lights off right now, then the ramps would not be glowing as they are. So anyway, I think it works in this game. Yeah, what else? The cabinet was in actually pretty good shape. This has the original side art. The original artwork is fluorescent orange here. You can get a replacement artwork for this game, but it's not fluorescent orange, it's red. So I would never take this artwork off. And thankfully, it's in good condition. The side art on the cabinet and the head has basically no damage at all. The front, you know, also not much damage. Again, the game was probably operated. You know, at some point it was operated over here, but it didn't look like it was on location all that long. You know, underneath the coin door is normally a dead giveaway. I mean, it's a little dirty in here, but you know, it was operated, but it wasn't beat to crap. Again, it sat in the wrong environment, and thankfully we were able to grab it before it totally deteriorated. There is a little bit of decal, you know, damage here, as you see, but it's probably not going to get any worse, and I could probably just get some protectors for this thing. It's probably what I need to do. But yeah, terrific machine, man, and I'm so happy to have one. Again, it's not one that comes up very often, and maybe some people don't like it. They might not like the back glass on it, but hey, man, it's a pinball shooter's game. This game is all about shot making, right? Each one of these letters, the goal of the game is to spell radical, and you do that by hitting each one of the shots. So this snake run is the R. This vert ramp here, the vert ramp is the A. This run here going through the spinner and through that gate, there's a gate down here, is the L. You got the bust and move ramp up here, which is the I. And this one's pretty tricky because this flipper, this upper left flipper, does not actually have a rail that leads to it. It actually comes right off of a pop bumper, and the flipper's kind of sitting out in space here all by itself. So that's a tricky shot because most times you do not get a clean ball coming down on that flipper. It's normally bouncing all around, and you know, this game, if you look at the history of it, it had initially another set of slingshots up here. You can see these holes, right? There's 3 holes there that were actually machine drilled into the cabinet, or into the playfield for slingshots. So there used to be a slingshot up here in the prototype games, and there was also a vertical up kick that was back here. And the vertical up kick would, I believe, it got fed through the hole behind this snake run down here. I believe that's how this worked. If you knock these drops down, then that's the attract mode music coming on now. If you knock those drop targets down, then you go into the snake run. I believe in the prototype, I think there was a hole back there, and it went to a vertical up kick, which was here, and then it shot the ball, and the ball would land here. I think here, and then it would end up in this diverter area, this X ramp. But anyway, some of the early games did have that, and they would have a hole cut into the ramp here, and they'd have a hole cut into the playfield as well. This game does not have that. It was not one of the prototype machines. Also, the early machines, some of them were diamond plate, and unfortunately, this is not one of them. You would see it down here. This playfield protected by a diamond plate. And some of the games I have are, but not lucky enough to have one of those radicals. There's not too many of them out there. But yeah, so that's Radical. It's a really terrific game, and I think it's a game that newbie pinball players can enjoy because the flippers are pretty close together. So I think it's a pretty easy game, and it's interesting because there's a lot of shots to make, right? With 4 flippers and all these ramps, it's a whole lot of fun. And you know, the call outs are maybe kind of cheesy to some people, but you know, I grew up in the 80s, so this is where it was for me. I mean, I had literally the same kind of skateboard, you know. I've got the scars on my arms and shoulder to prove it, you know. So, yeah, for me, it's terrific, and very happy to have one. So, all right, I will put the playfield up, and we'll take a look under the playfield, and then inside the back box, and then we'll play us some Bally Radical. All right, we got the playfield lifted up here on the Radical, and take a look underneath. Pretty standard if you've seen my videos or seen underneath a System 11 before. This is a System 11C, which came pretty close to the end before they were switching over to WPC. I think maybe Funhouse and Radical were kind of on the last breaths that they were taking in System 11 before they moved into the Williams pinball controller. But yeah, the playfield is, it's actually, compared to some of the other games down here, this playfield is pretty sparse. It's pretty simple, really. There are a lot of ramps and a lot of things going on, but under the playfield is not totally packed with things like you see on some of the other machines. You got your drop target bank back here. This is for the 3 drop targets to lead into the snake run, and then the drop target bank here in the front. Same kind of deal. These Williams drop targets they're okay. I mean, I don't like them as much as the Gottliebs, but they seem to work fine. I'm trying to remember. You know, I should have. Somebody told me. My buddy told me one time. He said you should have created a log of all the maintenance you've ever done on all the machines and always write things down. I wish I had done that. It's way too late to do it now. But there were probably 1 or 2 things down here that were burned up and I couldn't remember. Yeah, this thing has all been changed to Comet Pinball Sunlight White 2 SMD with some colors for the some of the inserts. I think the skater die inserts I've used color changers on, and for the most part the rest I've used white. But yeah, that's the bottom of the play field. So let me get this thing down, and we'll get into the back box and check out the System 11C. All right, here's inside the translite area, and we'll open up the back box. All right, and here's inside the back box area. This game has had the batteries removed and replaced with an NV RAM, non-volatile RAM there. I think it's a 6116 NV RAM. And unlike some of the other System 11s, the earlier System 11s did not have this interconnect board. Funhouse doesn't have it. I don't believe it does. But this game has it, and Bonsai Run has it, and Whirlwind has it. Can't remember about Earthshaker. Maybe Earthshaker doesn't. But the thing is, if you, I did learn that if you are going to replace this interconnect board, you have to make sure you have the right version, because a buddy of mine, actually my buddy who has the Radical, he replaced his interconnect board, and the one that he got sent, some of the resistors were wrong, and a bunch of the things weren't working. I think it was some of his lighting wasn't working. And we figured out that it had the wrong resistors installed because the board was set up for a different game. So make sure you look. Maybe it's this part number back here. I'm not quite sure. It could be, but just look at that if you ever have to order yourself an interconnect board. But yeah, it's a fairly simple setup. You got your soundboard up here and your power supply, and it looks like I have not rebuilt this power supply. And it's still got the original big cap too. Interesting. I did have to rebuild the, replace the connector here for the GI. Pretty typical on both of these. This one here, this is the GI lighting, and I believe this is too. This might be the back box GI. Can't remember. But both of those have been replaced. That's where your trouble is going to be. Always check both of those. And my buddy's machine, same thing. When we opened his up, they were all completely fried. So yeah, it's a good setup. And this is the these are the new ROMs. I believe these are the Soren ROMs. So this game has a jackpot. After you get Radical and you lock a ball in the snake run, then you have to do it again. You light all the lights up for Radical, you lock the second ball, and when you do that, you'll start the multi-ball. And if you can shoot this ramp here, right? If you can shoot this ramp, then you will get the what they call the Mega Millions. And the Mega Millions, when the game was first created, the Mega Millions was a random award. I think it was like 4 million, 6 million, 8 million, and 10 million, I think. Or maybe it even started at 2 million. But basically, with this new code that was released, it does not randomize that anymore, and that makes this game suitable for tournaments. So it'll always make it 4 million on the first Mega Millions, and then I think the second Mega Millions is 6 million, and then the next one is 8, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's why I replaced the ROMs. That, and there's a couple of other fixes in the code I can't quite remember, but that's the big one that stands out to me. So good. All right. Well. All right. Here we go. This game's from 1990, by the way. I'm not sure I mentioned that yet. Okay. So we get the R, the D, the A, and the L already. There's the I. Okay, we just need the last A, which is the vert ramp, which is pretty tough on my machine. It's primarily because of the angle of my flippers. Normally it should be possible with that right flipper, but it's really tough. And you see how slow it comes off when you try to backhand it. There you go. Most of the time I cannot do this. Trying to get that million shot there. There we go. Okay, so you've got to shoot either the left snake, the tail slider ramp, or the bust to move ramp to lock the ball. And I will shoot the left one now because I got my kickback to try anyway. There we go. Okay, ball 2. 3.6 million. Okay, we just need the A, again, vert ramp. We can spot it by going through one of the in lanes, or by hitting that target behind the drop targets there, that stand out. Those tail sliders can add up. They're 100,000 points apiece. And you want to hold the left flipper up as you do it.
Totally gnarly.
Eventually the machine will, it'll divert you over. It only lets you get in a certain amount of them. I can't remember how many. Uh-oh. All right, let's let that settle. We're at 5.5 million. I think there's an extra ball at 8.6 or something like that. All right. We need the A. See if we can get that A. Oh! See that? That happens a lot on my machine. I need to make a plastic cover for that or something. Snake run. And I think it's going to give me 100,000. Hey, and we finally got the vert ramp. Now we got to lock the ball again. There we go. Okay, we got to shoot the tail slider ramp for 4 million points. That's the jackpot. We can get an extra ball by shooting that vert ramp. Try to hold one of the balls, John. That was a big nothing burger, but we got about a 10-second, there we go. Yep, 4 million right there. 11.7. You get about a 10-second grace period on that. If you drain, you got about 10 seconds to shoot that tail slider ramp. So we redeemed the jackpot and we got an extra ball. And I'm not even paying attention, and there's another million there waiting on me. And we got it. See if we can get another snake run award. So with that one, yeah, you get skater die if you get the second one. Okay, there we go. We locked the second ball, or the first ball, excuse me, and 13.2 million. Oh, brother. $5x multiplier, 1.6 million bonus. 1.6 million, so we're sitting at 15.1. Ooh. Got lucky on that out lane. Oh! Yeah, bummer. All right, ball 2, 15.8. Here we go. Man. Well, we're at 18.4. My high score is actually 20 million, so pretty close to the GC. If I can get this skater die, then come on. All right, we got it. Lock the second ball. Now we'll get 6 million if we get that upper left ramp, that tail slider. Okay, let's get one ball in the left flipper. Here we go! Oh man, well, I am pretty happy with that one, folks. That would be a GC score on my machine. So yeah, Radical, fantastic machine. If you do find one in the wild, I recommend putting a couple quarters into it. And yeah, terrific game. And thanks for watching, appreciate it. Try to get through the rest of my collection, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Take it easy.